They came when my first child was just shortly after his birth. It's amazing what you can't remember. He hadn't started sleeping through the night yet, so maybe, 8, 10 weeks when they first showed up. They would come into the house, and the world would get dark, and there would be the sounds, the scratching sounds in the corner, but there was nothing there. And the strange laughter in the dark. we pretended they weren't there, but the feeling of evil and dark and dread and fear, I knew my son was in danger. My wife was in danger. And so I would get up in the dark, with the moonless dark, and I would fall on my knees and I would pray to the gods. To all of the gods, any of the gods. Surely one of them would take mercy, one of them would take pity on us. But they didn't. It got worse and worse, and then one day they weren't just coming into my house. They were in my head. And I could hear voices inside my head, and they were saying horrible things. Kill your wife. She's asleep. You can do it now. And I would feel the anger rush up in me that I didn't know why it was there. And I was afraid for her. I was afraid of me for her. And the despicable things they said about my son. And there was more coming. The one I remember the best was the one that laughed. They would laugh and laugh. But they would scream. And they would cry. And I realized I had to get away. Because the last choice I made before they took over was to run away. And the only place they would be quiet, they would never be quiet, but they would calm down a little bit if I walked in the graves. And so I went to the tombs. And slowly I slid away. I was still in there, but I wasn't what I was supposed to be anymore. And it was so fast before I could hear the parents threatening their kids, be good or he'll get you. One day the little boys came and they threw rocks at me. And I didn't want to. I just wanted them to go away. Please don't do this. You don't know what you're messing with. They hurt one of them. It was my hand. I watched my hand come down on his face. After that, the men from the village, they came to get me. They thought they could get me. They thought. They brought their chains. Broke one of their arms. But it wasn't me. I didn't want to hurt anybody. I just wanted them to go away. They bound me up and they put me in that room. It was like butter. And I ran off into the wilderness where they screamed and they screamed. Except that one who laughed. His laugh. He was laughing when they hurt the boy. He was laughing when they chained me up and they broke. He's always laughing at me. They took everything from me, my wife, my boy, my home, my clothes, my dignity, even my own body. I ran around bloody and naked. And that went on and on. You know what it's like to be in the grip of evil? When you're not in control of yourself. When you do what you don't want to do. And all you can think is, where is my life? Who am I anymore? What am I supposed to be? Because it's not this. All the while, they're laughing at you. Like you're a game, like you're a toy. It went on like that until the day He came. The day He showed up. That was the day of the big storm. I stood there in the tombs looking out at the lake, and that storm went right past me. And it was the scariest thing it's ridiculous. I was living in the scariest thing I ever saw. It was a bad storm. And until it was gone. And out of that remnants of that storm, there came one boat. And all of them inside were screaming because it didn't work. He was still coming. And for the first time in all those years, they were afraid. And when the boat got to the shore, their eyes were locked on one. It was a boat filled with men, but they couldn't take my eyes off of just one. He stepped out of the boat, and I felt my legs scissoring down the hill, down to the beachhead, where they threw me at His feet. And they, my torturers, they cried out for mercy. I thought, who is this? I looked up slowly at him, and I looked in his face, and folks, he was so mad. He was so angry until he looked into my eyes, and he looked past all of them, and for the first time in years, somebody saw me. And all of the anger went away, and there was nothing but gentle. He was saying, get out of him, get out of him, get out of him. But they were screaming, no, don't send us, don't do this, have mercy, don't send us to the abyss. What do you have to do with this? What is there between you and I? Leave us alone. And he said, what is your name? And I felt my jaw drop open, and it was like all of their voices spoke at once. Legion. And then they looked over and they saw the pigs. And they said, let us go into them. Don't send us away from flesh. Let us have something. If you got to take us out, put us there. And he nodded. And one by one I heard the voices leave. It was like the darkness faded and the light came back. And the last one to leave left laughing. His gibbering, awful laugh. For the first time, and I don't know how long it was, I was just me. And I looked at my hands, and I couldn't hear anything in my head. But then I heard it. I heard it again, but it wasn't in me. It was the sound of somebody laughing and screaming. And I thought, where are they? Where are they? And I realized it was the pigs. They were laughing. They were screaming as they ran down the side and they threw themselves into the lake. And you know, I was so relieved. I don't know how to tell you. I felt so bad for them. So I knew what they were going through. And when the people came and they saw me wearing clothes, suddenly the people from the boat, they came out. One of them had a pair of clothes, wrapped me up in it, pulled it over my head. He picked me up, and he looked into my eyes, and he says, you are free. Don't worry, they won't be back. And when the people from the village showed up, they were scared of him. He was the best man I ever met, and they're afraid of him. He had set me free from such evil, such horrible evil. And when they said, you got to go away, I said, well, I want to go too. Let me come with you, please. I won't take up much room. I can sit right there. And he said, no. He says, no. You need to go home. I hadn't even thought of home in forever. So you got to go home and you tell them what God has done for you. So I went home. And when I first walked onto our front porch and my wife saw me, she screamed. When she saw that it was me, and She said, "Are they gone? Are they gone?" And I said, "Yes, honey, they're gone." And she ran to me and she held me and she said, "Oh, thank the gods." And I said, "No, sweetheart, one God. There's one God that saves. There's just one." You know what it's like, do you? To be in the grip of evil. There's a good man out there. And he set me free.